Today we stand on Harris Promenade, which has a long history in Trinidad and Tobago. This is San Fernando, and Harris Promenade has an indelible history, I must say.
Absolutely.
Because Governor Harris, when he had a vision, this is one of the most progressive governors that we had in Trinidad and Tobago. And he had a vision for San Fernando, a vision, my dear worship, a vision for schools, a vision for churches, a vision that he envisioned maybe if he was alive today, he would have actualized this vision and see what this vision is. However, we are here with his worship, yes, Junia Regrello, who is one of those progressive ones. And I must say, sometimes out of every beating, there comes a blessing. Because now I stand with him to understand the changes and how San Fernando continues to evolve. Mr. Regrello?
Absolutely. Let me begin by acknowledging the contribution made by Governor Harris. When the council in 1850 to 1854 approached Governor Harris for the development of lands going south of Harris Promenade, he said yes, but under these conditions, that you build schools, you build churches, a police station, and a hospital, all those basic amenities that was necessary and was missing in those days. So the council adhered to his request. Therefore, you have the Methodist Church, the Catholic Church, the Anglican Church, the San Fernando Hospital, now the teaching hospital, the police station, the magistrate court, the Supreme Court, and a battery of lawyer officers. So this is the main artery in the city of San Fernando. He also said, ensure that there is a space for leisure and pleasure. So we must acknowledge those things and acknowledge Governor Harris for his contribution for the development of San Fernando.
And how are you building on such tenets? Because now you have a good backbone. And without the backbone, there is no foundation. But now we have a foundation. How are you building on this foundation? I see straight ahead of me, there is what we call exchange market. Right. I am seeing both plants and goods being sold and traded there.
Right. So that's an initiative of the Ministry of Agriculture. It's in Namdefco Market, where you have wholesalers and farmers bringing their goods direct to the people by therefore eliminating the middleman. These suppliers are here on every other Thursday, every other Friday, and there's a catchment because hospital staff, police staff, city hall staff, teachers, churches, people who use the area can now access the market. And you move sometimes to take the mountain to Mohammed. They're doing well, and you're also creating revenue for the farmers. So it's I will say a good initiative, a productive one, and one that benefits the people of the city of San Fernando.
Yes, indeed. And what is your vision? What is your ultimate vision for the city of San Fernando?
To transform San Fernando to where we are today, where the world is today, where it cannot be done without collaboration, without the support of the citizens, and to understand what the vision is. San Fernando has its peculiar terrain based on the hilly aspect of it, and how it was designed. So we have to navigate that design in a way that we could take us into where the world is today.
Yes. So when we look at San Fernando, we see there are many good things going for it. We see the modernization of the hospital. Yet still, there are some problems within San Fernando. And I tell you, the problems start sometimes with us. Because I too see myself still as belonging and still as a product of the city. And we together can make a change. And I'm not talking about political change. I'm talking about individual change, the way we treat our city. It starts with the littering.
Absolutely.
It starts with the mindset of every child and every parent that when we take a social responsibility for the city and we treat our city with the respect and love that it deserves, then this may transgress to other generations.
Okay,
yes?
So, and let me give you a perfect example. In years gone by, the 60s and the 70s and 80s, we had a car park, a central car park that catered for all the taxis to the Deep South, Faizabad, Superior, Point Fortin, Ludbury. They went there to get a taxi and also to have private parking, person going to the hospital and using the Harris Promenade. It was transformed to a hospital by an administration. So we had to make changes. How do you adjust to that? Where do you create parking for persons using the city? So that became a challenge for us as politicians, and we're working towards that. And this is where we have to find ways and creative ways to make this place usable and friendly at the same time.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned that. When you talk about parking, most persons, and that video went viral. I didn't even know because out of my irritation, that video was up there. And I had a problem because if a sign is removed, then something should be replaced.
Absolutely.
And in the absence of that, then what do we have? Because we cannot be charged, because I was charged. I had to pay the $500. that is for parking at a place where there was no signage. So what are you doing about proper signage and about the culture? This wrecking is also a culture because it's a hustler's culture. People are tipping off the wrecker, paying wreckers. They come and pull sometimes people in the vehicle and they're moving with them.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to even address and adjust that to have San Fernando as such a place where people would want to come and shop and it will be feasible for you to get in and get out. Now, I'm not saying to those persons to ignore the no parking areas. I'm not saying to those persons to breach the law. But what I am saying is maybe we can make some form of adjustment. Maybe with this initiative, we can go and look and see where signage needs to be placed,
Absolutely.
where we can implement change and appreciate this as our own.
So your video caught my attention and allowed me I immediately contacted the senior superintendents over there and said, we need to address this. But for it to succeed, we need the support of all the agencies and of course the public at large. So we have a policy now in going forward. There's a traffic management meeting next week. Traffic management are a major stakeholder in this. They are the ones for installing the signs and management. We can just design the policy, but we cannot make it happen without the support of all these agencies. So we are putting that in place now. We have a team visiting, going around the city, looking at what needs to be done, definitely looking at signage. Where you turn right, where you turn left, where you park, where you do not park. This is being addressed obviously. So sometimes, I think your experience was a useful one because it allowed us to address these issues.
Mr. Regrello, and this is a mark of true leadership. When leaders can listen to their people, this is a mark of true leadership. And sometimes we are often very used to highlighting the negatives. But when positive is due and positive is all determined, we must render that. And the Bible talk about that. The Bible says where positive is owing, by all means, I must give it to you. And hats off to you in terms of your immediate response when you reached out to me. I mean, I was taken aback and I say, well, this mayor is on top of things. Yes, that it was less than minutes and you made contact with me. And that is what I want to see.
And I also sent the video to our senior superintendent, Santana. I said, Mr. Santana, we need to look at this. We need to understand the sensitivity in this. And although, in your situation, you're not from San Fernando. I mean, you're living in Port of Spain. You're in San Fernando mid-evening. And what do you do? How do we treat this? So this requires a certain amount of sensitivity from the police officers, where they must also be a help to you and assistance to you as well while doing their job. Yes. So we need to close that gap, create that scenario where we are here not only to protect you, but to serve you.
Yes, well spoken. Well, you left me speechless. Very seldom I'm speechless. Let's walk into the town of San Fernando. Let's see what is happening. Let's see what this city has evolved to, because there are a lot of changes. And let's highlight some of those changes. The City Hall of San Fernando has a long and dated history, dated since 1931. And we can still see the evidence of colonial architecture and colonial structure in terms of the style of this building. Tell me more, Your Worship, about this architecture and the building that stands behind us.
So in 1850, the City Hall was a wooden building that was based on the wharf adjacent to the fish market. But one must understand that the wharf in those days was the center of activity. The trains came in, the fishing industry, and everything was based on the wharf. All the hardwares, all the business were based on the wharf. However, in 1853, the wooden building was moved to this premises here on Harris Promenade as Lord Harris made his decision in going south. And in 1831, that wooden building was redesigned and this structure was put in place. So this was built in 1831, and which really is a beautiful structure, a beautiful design. We maintain this, and it's well supported by the Council and San Fernandians.
Yeah. So there are several monuments on the promenade. The promenade is like a historic museum, yes?
Individuals who have shaped the landscape of the city of San Fernando. We have Hazel Crawford, our first gold medalist. We have Rodney Wilkes, our first silver medalist and first Olympic medalist in 1948. And you have Manny Ramjan as well, who also competed in the Olympics in 1948 with the Olympic medal. So those three guys are prominent and critical to our evolution in sport. They are highlighted on the hex across there. Then lower down we have Rodney Wilkes, a bust of Rodney Wilkes, who also worked at City Hall as an electrician for years. There's a monument for the life and times of Dr. Williams. Then there's Simon Bolivar from Venezuela and his contribution in that part of the world, and that's maintained by the embassy. And then we have Mahatma Gandhi. This was brought here in 1947. The Indian High Commissioner was here on Monday, and we have agreed to replace the service with a more modern one and improve the aesthetics and by reshaping the statue here. So this is where we are. We continue to make this whole area.
Continue to improve the fabric.
Absolutely,
basically.
absolutely,
Yes?
the aesthetics.
Now we stand in front of a powerful monument, a monument of Pan-Africanism, a monument of negritude, a monument that is represented by the statue of Marcus Mosiah Garvey. You see, you brought an amalgamation of all the varying vendors with the fruit stalls together in one place. So therefore, this is a no driving area. This is a pedestrian walking and shopping area now.
Absolutely. What we had really in the past was people were vending arbitrarily all over around the periphery. I felt like it made no sense. We got all the vendors to an agreement. This awning was installed, they're based and it's monitored by the public health department, and they have to adhere to very strict public health guidelines, especially the food providers. You're doing doubles, you're doing sandwiches, you're doing whatever it is. Our public health vendors, inspectors visit the scene because it speaks to safety, and safety is first and paramount to the citizens of the city of San Fernando.
Now we stand on top of Lord Street. Now I tell you, San Fernando is a very diverse city. There's different stories, different parts of San Fernando tell, and this part is like the hub of the entertainment. Now we know COVID has directly impacted on a lot of businesses within the city of San Fernando. What are you getting out of these various persons? What are they saying? What are they saying about business? What are they saying about survival in terms of these varying businesses?
This is where sometimes the going gets tough. It's tough to get going. So we expect Southerners and San Fernando to think out of the box in going forward. I'm encouraged by our persons, how resilient they have been in the past, and we will survive and we'll get out of this. You asked the question, we're on top of Lord Street. Somebody asked me a while ago, how did Lord Street get its name? I do not know that answer. However, there's a committee appointed to revisit the naming of streets in San Fernando so we could make adjustments and probably acknowledge those who have shaped our landscape and who are worthy of being given that opportunity to be named after these streets.
Yes.
Named after them, I should say.
Yes, and then to the left of us is Naparima Girls College,
yes.
And then to the right of us is Presentation Boys School,
yes.
And then within the center.
And we are in the education capital of Trinidad and Tobago, where we excel at all levels.
Yeah, I am a product of that, so I can testify to that personally and said, yes, this is so.
On the right is Grand Memorial Presbyterian School, one of the primary schools that have been excelling at SCA level over the years.
Okay, but Mr. Regrello, seeing that there's no Carnival 2021, what coping mechanism, I mean there's psychological coping, financial coping mechanism, what coping mechanisms are you putting in place to deal with the absence of Carnival 2021?
We will be meeting with the stakeholders in the coming months or so. We are looking at how the government is treating these issues, how challenging it is us. If there's any flexibility, any window for opportunities, we'll certainly embrace it. Or we will certainly be talking with our stakeholders, major stakeholders.
And maybe this is the time for us to diversify, because out of every disaster, there could be some good, a new way of doing things, a new way of thinking.
Because while we are enjoying the sunshine, Europe and North America will be enclosed and indoors and cannot travel, so we may have a package we can sell them.
Definitely. So now it's time for innovators to come forward. And again, His Worship, Mr. Regrello said he will be having conversation with the varying stakeholders. Let us come together. Now I say us because I'm also taking my role in media and as an educator, because I am from San Fernando and I want to see the development, not just San Fernando alone, but the general Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Regrello, I do thank you for the store of San Fernando, and I will be following up with you with some of those initiatives that you said are going to be implemented.
I will keep in touch. What you see here, this is Coffee Street, the main artery in the San Fernando. If you're coming from as far as Rio Claro, Mayaro, Guagayari, this is where you have to come into San Fernando. So this is the main artery. It's a central focal point, and we are doing whatever we can do to work in collaboration with the stakeholders, with the business persons. Let's make San Fernando vibrant.
His Worship wants to say thank you. And at this time, it's COVID, and sometimes our spirit may be a bit dampened. But there are persons that are making an indelible impact into the fabric of San Fernando and what it is. His Worship, say thank you to these various persons.
Right, so I want to thank our CEO, Mr. Indarjit Singh. I want to thank the members of council, all the 9 electoral districts who have been supporting us. The Superintendent Santana and Superintendent King have been working behind the scenes to keep San Fernando safe. That is critical, and because they are protecting the city. We must thank them for the work they're doing. Even this morning, the taxi drivers who had to adjust their program to allow us to do this film, I want to thank them. I want to thank the whole of San Fernando, because this is about the city of San Fernando. It is with a profound sense of pride that I'm speaking today on our beloved city of San Fernando and what we have been able to accomplish in the past 4 years. It's a fact that San Fernando is at a cusp of development at this point. There's so many things happening in San Fernando that I am not only excited but proud. The waterfront development is coming on. It's on stream. It started last year. It started returned last year by the Honorable Faisal Rawi, the Member of Parliament for San Fernando West, where we are currently building a 4-lane highway that will take you from crossing all the way to the wharf. That will start and enhance the groundwork for that whole extended program that we have down there with the San Carlos Plaza, the waterfront in terms of reclamation, construction of a hotel, a museum, recreation, entertainment, nightlife, and opportunities for employment. And that is where we are. We speak about the magistrate court that's being constructed on Sutton Street. Construction is going on as we speak. We look at the car park, a multi-story car park that's being installed on the outside of the San Fernando General Hospital. These projects will transform the city of San Fernando and create opportunities for so many young people. I wish I was 18 or 19 years at this time to be part of this development and part of this production and how we can move on and develop as young people. I'm very proud of what we are doing and what we have done so far. San Fernando is very unique and peculiar in many ways. It's hilly terrain, the way it was constructed and designed makes it difficult. But we have found ways to navigate that. When we came into office, we found that San Fernando had some challenges. Several streets were one way, and it made it difficult. And one must understand that we have Library Corner, which is very central. Library Corner is a junction where 7 streets meet. So if you're coming from the east, which is Princestown, Mayaro, Rio Claro, that area, you're coming from the east into San Fernando. You're coming from the south, which is Point Fortin, Faizabad, Suparia, Labre, Oropuch. You're coming from the south into Library Corner. You're coming from the north, which is Shabona, Scuba, California, Claxton, Bay, Marabella. You're coming into Library Corner. What we found, everybody was coming to that junction and disembarking as the case may be. So what we do, we started to divert traffic. You're coming from the north, you don't come into the center, the central focal point. Taxis in particular will have to find another drop-off point. You're coming from the east, we also diverted that. So we reduced that whole congestion that we normally have had there. Prior to that, we had vendors in every corner, vendors on the stores and the buildings. We set up a whole like a vending scenario where all the vendors in a very controlled environment where we allotted spots and space for them. That allowed our public health department to set up an agreement with these vendors, monitor them on a day-to-day basis, and ensure that whatever they're selling is in adherence to good public health guidance, which speaks to safety for our people. So a vehicle was coming down, that would have been Dr. Rupert Endal Street, which is formerly Cuenca Street, going in the north to south direction, which is an ambulance. And that vehicle would have had to come to the bottom of High Street and turn right onto High Street to get to the hospital. There's Shackon Street, which is midway between Rupert Endal Street and High Street. That street would have been a one-way going west to east. By allowing traffic to turn there, making a two-way street, the ambulance could now turn right and get to the hospital faster, and that is now happening. It has increased and I should say decreased traffic and removed that congestion from around that whole wharf area. It is a tremendous improvement. Several streets, if you look at High Street, for instance, between Pertinent Street and Library Corner, you can go across Pertinent Street and get out of the city of San Fernando. If you're on the promenade and you're working at the hospital and you're working at the police station, you go down Pertinent Street, across Pertinent Street, and use any one of the other streets to get out of the city of San Fernando. Prior to that, you could not have done that. You also have, between there, you have Montchagrin Street, which is also a two-way street. You can also have access to that street. So what we have done, we have created opportunities to get in and get out. I hope people appreciate that fact. There's another scenario at Library Corner, which we have been working on, and we have this considerable improvement there, where we have installed railings along the island to protect the disabled persons as well as the elderly persons who have to traverse the area. We also want to deal with jaywalking in the area. Prior to that, people have been crossing the street at any given point. The barriers will have regulate you and have outlets only where the zebra crossing is. All those are things that will improve the flow of traffic, provide safety for our pedestrians, and also ensure that we have a better flow and better operational plan. I want to more or less thank the business persons who have been supporting us, thank the citizens who understand what we're trying to do and who are working with us, because we have to really put San Fernando first and how we can make San Fernando the city that we really envisage it can be and has the potential to be. San Fernando is exciting. It's a great time to be in San Fernando. Let's look at where we can go, how we can improve the city and make it a better place. As I said before, there are lots of opportunities for jobs. Skinner Park is on stream. Skinner Park is about 41% completed. The major infrastructure work has been completed. For young persons who are on Skinner looking for labor, your time will come soon, because once the technical work is completed, then there will be opportunities for the persons who are unskilled to do the manual and normal things that can be done and will create employment for you. We have paved the South Trunk Road all the way from Crossing, going down to Gulfview and beyond Gulfview. That has been a challenge for us for quite a while. Those streets were paved as we do our geotechnical survey and ensure that the surface is ready for the type of work that needs to be done. So generally, I can only see improvement, I can only see betterment, and I can see a better San Fernando.